Hey, ladies. Hey, welcome back to Rooted in Your Confidence. And I want to talk to you today about something that I've been thinking about since the other day when I was honored to receive the Leadership Award from the Network of Black Employees. Words cannot actually, I can't actually form the words right now to say how much it meant for me to receive such a prestigious award from the Network of Black Employees because in my 32 years working for the company and my 27 plus years of working in a male dominated industry, I had not been recognized for my leadership nor anything else, to be honest. So to receive such a prestigious award was an honor and it touched me deeply because it was from the network where Black and Brown people celebrate you. And in the history of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, there has never been a human to receive the leadership award from structural maintenance. So that in itself landed deeply and differently because not only was structural maintenance noticed, but me as a woman in structural maintenance. So I was full that day. I was a bit overwhelmed because I'm so grateful for each and every human that said my name in rooms I wasn't in because of the way I showed up, not looking for it, not expecting it, but showing up fully grounded and rooted in who I am. I led with respect, not just for myself, but for the people coming behind me that I was leading. I didn't manage my people. I led them with respect and love for not just the work that we do, but for the humans that they are. It brought me to today and what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the difference between managing and leading. And that difference matters, especially for women in male dominated industries, working who are the first only of one of few. Why does it matter? Because we need to stand where we show up for ourselves, not to be validated by other people, and knowing how you show up as a leader and how you receive you is so important. Because let me tell you, I already knew leadership isn't about control, it's about the people. And when you're able to stand in your truth, you can do that. So let's get into it real quick. I don't want to keep you long. I want to talk about management and what they do. They focus on timelines, numbers, outcomes. Leadership focuses on people, trust, growth, environments. Managers are often concerned with getting things done. Leaders are concerned with how things get done and who is impacted in the process. Here's the part that doesn't get talked about enough. That's why I'm bringing it up today. Many managers, in my opinion, lead from fear of mistakes, fear of looking incompetent, fear of not having all of the answers, fear of losing control. Leadership doesn't come from fear. Leadership comes from vision, self trust, and emotional stability. For women in male dominated industries, this difference sits different with us because many of us are already leading, but only being recognized as managers. We're given the responsibility, but not always the authority. We're trusted with results, but questioned in presence. We're expected to deliver, but not always respected. And when our leadership doesn't look aggressive or controlling, it gets misunderstood. Calm gets mistaken as weakness. Collaboration gets mistaken for uncertainty. Confidence without dominance gets questioned. That's not because women can't lead. It's because leadership has been defined too narrowly. And why do I say this? Because I look at this moment in my life, even during this time where I'm in the process of editing my book and getting it out there, and my sales page for my pre orders, I had a picture of me actually working, not just in the office, but I had one of me outside with the crew pointing, giving directives. And I was told, no, you shouldn't have that picture there. My leadership was defined for my book by what I was doing in the photo. Why does leadership always have to look like a certain image? Who got to define that? Who has made that its reality? Like, you have to have on a skirt or nice slacks, high heel shoes in order to be considered a leader. That's why I was so taken aback. Not that I didn't know I was leading, but that someone who did wear a skirt and high heel shoes noticed that I was a leader and I wore steel toe boots, safety vests, and showed up on sites instead of an office every day. Even though I go to an office every day, it was different and it was respected. So, us understanding that the image that we have that has been portrayed as what a leader looks like, we need to redefine it. We need to look differently so that we're no longer so rigid when it comes to what you should and should not do, how you should and should not show up in order to lead. And that even is in respect to managing, because I believe personally that leaders know how to manage also, but managing doesn't know how to lead. Being a leader knows that you know how to help, elevate, educate, and then also manage where your staff, where your direct reports are going for the benefit of the job and for their well being and their safety. Managers just say, get it done. And everyone looks at a leader, especially a woman, differently if she's not in a corner office and or in certain jobs. I want to say it and leave that right there. We have to open our minds. So let me tell you something. I recently experienced a situation that made this difference very clear to me. Also, because I had a manager come to question the operation he had never worked in. He understood the numbers, he understood the project management side of it, but he didn't understand this department that I worked in, the equipment, the people that go home to families every day. Instead of leading with curiosity, he led with control. His communication wasn't loud, but it was aggressive. And leadership isn't just about what you say, it's about how regulated you are when things don't go your way. As for me, I stay grounded. I don't lose eye contact. I continue to speak, not to prove anything, but because I know whom I am and what I've done and what I'm responsible for. And this is what my team sees. And that's what's important. So this manager who came in and he was ranting and he was carrying on, my team saw that. And in an instant, their respect for him changed. So please, when people you manage see you behave in this way, it changes how they're looking at you. It changes the job. It changes the respect of the room. It changes people wanting to stay. Because if a manager gets wound up and doesn't know how to control himself, that shoots a clear message that there is a problem at the top. His fear will lead instead of his mind, his authority, his abilities, his knowledge. When managers' behavior is unreasonable and causes the staff to question the manager's behavior because if their favorite things, if you don't like it, you can go. That makes people want to leave. And especially when they come back and want to apologize later. But an apology doesn't always erase the impact because by then the environment already shifted. Trust shifts, respect shifts, perception shifts. This is what many managers miss. They think in task and numbers and they don't think trust, safety, or environment. Leaders understand it all. Leaders protect the environment so work can get done. Let me tell you how I define the word leader. The L is for lead with self-trust. If you don't trust yourself, it's hard to lead others. Women often are taught to second guess themselves. Leadership requires reclaiming that trust. E is for emotional regulation. Your nervous system sets the tone. Teams don't need perfection, they need stability. A is accountability. Accountability without fear. Leaders allow mistakes so people can learn. Fear shuts teams down. Accountability builds confidence. D, development over control. Leaders don't hoard knowledge, they don't gatekeep, they develop skill, judgment, and autonomy. E, environment matters. Culture isn't a slogan, it's how people feel working with you every day. R is for respect. Respect is non negotiable. Respect isn't demanded, it's modeled, and it starts with how you allow yourself to be treated. So I mentioned my book earlier that's going to be released next week. These are conversations I explore in my book, The Truth Changes Everything. Not how to be louder, not how to be tougher, but how to be more grounded, more confident, more rooted in who you already are as a leader. Because leadership for women isn't about proving ourselves, it's about trusting ourselves. When you lead from your truth, everything changes. How you speak, how you respond, how your team grows. So here's the question I want to leave you with. As women leaders, do you allow poor management to disrupt your team? Or do you stand strong, protect the environment, and lead anyway? Leadership isn't about control, it's about development. And if you've been leading in spaces that question you, know this: you're not imagining it, you're leading. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone else that needs to hear this. Follow, make a comment. I love to hear from you. Next week, I have an amazing guest, and I can't wait for you to hear our conversation. We're talking about the responsibility of the company and how we make changes. Listen, look out for my book. It's going to be life changing for you and how we show up as women in these male dominated industries. Be safe, and I will talk to you soon.